So this is my patient today, guys. You can see we've got a really, well, it's quite a deep, dry plug in this one. It goes down a fair way, but you can see just how hard this plug is as well. So this is just old. There's no sort of dryness to the canal or anything. It's just literally age. It's all dried out. The oil's kind of all been sucked out of this piece of wax and it's become super duper dry. So the patient wasn't really experiencing any hearing issues as such, more altered sensation in the ear canal, a little bit of discomfort in there as well. And that's because obviously with these plugs being quite hard and it being towards the outer portion of the ear canal, or the front end anyway, it's been pressing against the canal wall, which is where that discomfort comes from. We've got a good grip here with the standard size ulnar tube. You can see just how dark that was. Now I put some olive oil in at the very beginning because I could see how dry the plug was, and a lot of the time olive oil is going to really help that to come away nice and easily. Now this side here, you can see it looks at the start to be a much bigger plug. You can see it's going up a lot higher into the canal, but what's actually happening here is it's a much thinner piece of wax, but it's sloping backwards, which just means it looks like it's going much further in. But when you pull it out, you can see it's a much thinner plug coming away there. Little tiny bit of oil on the camera where we were drawing that endoscope back there a little bit. We just hit the little patch of oil that I put in to help to ease that out. But standard size ulnar tube's working really well there to get that plug away. And now we just got this little tiny bit of dry skin just to the one top corner. So I've just switched down to the fine end just to reduce any risk of clarinetting, that really high pitched sound you hear, but eardrum looking absolutely fab there. So let's have a little look. We've got just under 2.5 centimeters. I want to go probably just over 3/4 of an inch. So this is my patient, guys. Oh, this was a lovely one. This was a lovely young man that came through. He actually watches our videos on the channel as well. He came through on Halloween and he was he was an absolute diamond. What a kid. Basically what he had was, you can see this very deep layer of wax and skin mixture here, really deep inside the ear canal. It's almost right on top of the eardrum. So this little bit here, this is actually wax, but the remainder of this then is skin. So I've put some olive oil in just to help out a little bit. Basically been going back and forth to the GP. GP's been prescribing drops, but unfortunately because it's skin and it's that deep in the canal, it's never going to come out on its own. So they brought him along just to have a little bit of suction done. So I've got the fine end on here just because it's deep and, you know, he is little as well, which means the ear canal's a little bit smaller and we don't want to run the risk of any clarinetting here as well. So we're using the fine end just to tidy all of this up. There we go, look at that coming away. And you know what, he sat through this like an absolute dream. He was so good for me, fair play to him. He did a really good job for me. There we are, let's just tidy up these little bits, but looking so much better now. You can see that eardrum far more clearly, a much clearer canal there, just taking some of these looser pieces off the top. So yeah, absolutely brilliant, fair play. He did so well for me. So we've got just over 1 centimeter, bang on 1/2 inch worth of wax and skin there. So this is my patient, guys, and we've got quite a narrow ear canal and a very dry plug of wax in here. So these are always a little bit more complicated. Now, when we say narrow ear canal, what we should really define is whether we're looking at a narrow canal or a narrow entrance to the canal. Now, what I always find is narrow entrances to the canal are a lot more difficult, and that's what we've got here. So what we can see is the entrance to the canal, rather than being a sort of lovely round shape, it's kind of collapsed down a little bit. But what you have then is the ear canal beyond is actually that shape. So especially when you get these harder wax plugs, they've formed into this shape of the canal and they've got to get them through a gap like that. And it just doesn't always work particularly well. And that's what's happening here. So we've managed to draw this bigger plug down the canal, but as you can see, it's got wedged right at the entrance. So what we need to do now is one of two things. Either you're going to have to break this down in the entrance, or you're going to have to give it a really good wiggle and see if you can almost sort of walk it out, which is what we're doing here. So there we go. Sometimes what we'll have to do, especially if we've got quite a round, almost like ball of wax, then we'll hold it in that entrance and we'll spin it and break little bits off until we can get it small enough to get out. So just over 1.5 centimeters, eardrum look fab by the way, 1/2 inch there, guys, as well of wax.
So this is a lovely patient that actually attended clinic today. Which doesn't really happen very often, where we do them on the same day. This doesn't actually look very difficult, but this patient has a very narrow ear canal. This is actually the standard size ulnar tube. I was kind of hoping this was going to fit in the ear, to be honest. Now, patient was told back in February, I want to say, from a GP that both ears were full at that time. And nothing has really been done about it. You know, things crop up, people get busy, and it gets forgotten about. But it's really starting to cause a bit of trouble here now. So now you can see I'm just trying to almost shimmy this out of the ear. Once I get so far, I'm actually going to lose that grip of the ear canal with the endoscope, and it's not really going to go anywhere. It's just going to get trapped and it's going to get stuck, which is pretty much what's happening here at the moment. So not getting anywhere. So I'm thinking, right, I've pulled it forwards. We should be able to get some curettage in here now. We do swap over in a second.
It looks, yeah, because it is always difficult, isn't it? Because when you get to that outer section, holding these narrow canals open is always a hard job.
Yeah.
And you know, as soon as you draw that endoscope back, you're a little bit stuck there, aren't you?
Yeah. So I give. We've got this is the round Jobson horn, which I don't actually
like.
Yeah. I much prefer the oval ones, but. I didn't actually have any with me at the time, and I, to be honest, I didn't want to go looking around to find some. So we've ended up going in with the St. Bart's hook anyway. Yay, Rhys's favourite tool.
My favourite tool.
Now there's a tiny, tiny, tiny little gap at the top there, so I've managed to just nip in over the top. Now, as I've gone into that gap, I've basically turned it into the wax. So this is going to give us a good grip, hopefully, to get this whole thing out.
Wow.
There we go. It's quite a
that's a hefty piece.
Chunky piece,
hefty piece there.
And
nice and
it's
clean,
a bit humid. I do give the camera. I was going to say I do give the camera a bit of a wipe. It's a bit humid in there, but yeah. What was that? That was
half an inch.
Half a centimetre and a half. I couldn't really think of that. Oh gosh. End of the day. This is a patient of mine, guys, and you can see we've got this. Not a completely full ear canal, but we've got very, very deep piece of wax essentially that sat right against the eardrum. This was actually causing the patient some, not only a slight, I wouldn't even say a loss of hearing, but like altered sensation, as if something was there. Patient was getting a little bit of like vibrating every now and then with certain sounds, and that could have been where that was pressing up against the eardrum. It's come away really nicely there, to be honest. As soon as I looked, I said, oh, look, there's not much there, but, you know, it could potentially be causing a bit of a problem, so we'll... just
loads of olive oil down on top of it.
Yeah, and the patient had been sticking to it, to be fair.
Brilliant.
So we're just trying to tidy up some of these last tiny pieces. Not concerned about these little tiny bits, these little tiny bits, but the eardrum is looking nice and clear there. And a very similar thing on the other side.
Cotton buds?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think the patient admitted to it, but
we know.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, there are occasions where, like, if you've gone on holiday, sometimes the water can push the wax in, you know. But like, luckily, it wasn't really compact. It was deep, but it wasn't really like stuck anywhere, which is where we were. Lucky, to be honest, but
like nothing worse than wedge down there right against the eardrum. It doesn't give you
solid
any room to manoeuvre, does it? Down there.
And well, we got about just over a centimetre and a half.
I'm going to go just under half an inch on that one.
Yeah, nice.
Well, guys, thanks very much for watching our video again today. And if you did enjoy the videos, you can always like, heart, share, follow, and subscribe. If you thoroughly enjoyed the video and want even more videos, you can always look at becoming a member or subscriber to the channel. But as always, guys, take care of yourselves.
Take care of your ears.
And take care of one another. And myself and the lovely Mr. Taylor Green. We'll see you again real soon. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.